I know we still have Commissioner Starkey coming, but I believe we can go ahead and call this meeting to order. It is Thursday, June 14th. It is 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to ask you all to please rise while the city clerk leads us in our invocation and the pledge.
O merciful Creator, your hand is open wide to satisfy the needs of every living creature. Make us thankful for your loving providence and grant that we, remembering the account that we must one day give, may be faithful stewards of your good gifts. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and please be seated. I'd ask if you could please silence your cell phones and other electronic devices so we can have a orderly meeting. And with that, roll call, please.
Councilman Jeff Starkey.
Here.
Mayor Dale Massett. Councilman Lance Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Ron Oakley.
Here.
Commissioner Mike Moore. Commissioner Catherine Starkey. Commissioner Mike Wells.
She's Commissioner Starkey.
Jack Mariano.
Here.
And Chairman Camille Hernandez.
Here. And Commissioner Starkey, I do believe, is on her way here to join us. This is the portion of our meeting for public input, public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board this morning? And I do want to remind you, I know we have lots of action items and lots on our agenda today, and some folks have to leave early, so we are trying to stick to the 3-minute rule for public comment. So, with that, your name and address for the record, sir.
My name is Thomas Nocera. Our company's headquartered in Clearwater at 600 Cleveland Street, Suite 815. And I'm here to represent 5 LLCs that have been set up in the last 2 years to bring about a new form of transit to the greater Tampa Bay region. A week ago, I presented to the County Commission over at the Dade City Courthouse a video, and it was directed that I should work with and try to create a good working relationship with the MPO here. And so I'm here today to try to get the process started, to request your assistance on doing some planning that would help us evaluate where the smart places to start a system within Pasco County would be. There is a video. I understand that we might be able to play that a little bit later. And with that, I'll just wait any further direction from the board. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We were going to play it at the end just because there are some folks here for public comment and folks have to leave. I mean, it's up to you if you want it. You want to see it now?
How long is your video?
Oh, 2 minutes and 42 seconds.
All right, so go ahead and do we have it in play to go ahead?
I don't know if we have audio because we tried it earlier.
We can send it to everybody. I think without the audio, it may not make as much sense. So.
Okay.
Why is there no audio?
She got it. Click on it.
Oh, here it goes. Here it goes. Okay, perfect.
Good job.
Oops.
The city. It's where we live, love, and create. Yet as life moves faster and faster, we move slower and slower. Traffic is just getting worse, and driverless cars won't save us. Because the problem is not the driver.
Could we make that a little
it's
louder?
the car.
Is that possible?
It's been a century, and it is time to move on. SkyTram is the first public transit system that's as personal as a car. It will unclog our cities and transform our lives. With SkyTran, there's no schedule. Its predictive artificial intelligence knows when you need your ride. Stations are so narrow they can fit over sidewalks, so they are always just a short walk away. SkyTran's revolutionary magnetic levitation technology enables you to fly on a cushion of air. Traveling in a skypod is so quiet and smooth that you can comfortably work or just simply relax. Skypods don't need to pick up or drop off other passengers, so there are absolutely no stops on the way to your destination. In the city, Skypods can fly over busy streets at 50 miles an hour and speed up to 200 miles an hour between cities. With some stations built directly into office buildings, a 2-hour commute can be reduced to 20 minutes. SkyTran's low cost and simple construction allows for many more lines than conventional public transport systems, which in turn allows for greater capacity. Per mile, SkyTran is 1/10 the cost of light rail and 1/100th the cost of a subway. With its speed and high capacity, SkyTran can bring an end to traffic. A dream come true. The next step will be something we've never even dreamed of. Transforming streets into parks, cafes, and markets. Without cars, we can breathe, create, and wander. After 100 years, it's time for a change.
Wow,
Very nice.
that is very cool.
Yeah.
Now you probably stimulated more questions, which we didn't want to happen right now, but
Yeah.
now that is being sent to all of us here, right, on the whole MPO board, so that we have it for our individual needs as well. So, well, thank you so much.
Just tell us that's already in, we're okay.
Hey, Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
If we could, maybe we should proceed through the meeting, because we weren't sure, I mean, we appreciate them coming forward to come before the board, but maybe we can run through the meeting, and then if we get a little bit of time at the end, we can have them talk, because I got a few things that I'd like to talk about, but,
And that's what the original plan
Okay.
was. So now that we've seen the video, I have asked him to come up a
Okay.
second time during public comment.
Awesome,
So
thank
we
you.
do have some other folks that are here today. So with that, I'll move on to our next person. So if you could give us your name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, dear commissioners. My name is Gunter Flagg. I live at 7712 County Line Road in Odessa. I'm a home builder and developer in this county, and my passion and sport is cycling.
And you're a member of the BPAC?
And I'm also a member of the Pasco
chair.
County BPAC Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee to you all. But I'm here today representing myself, and I would like to speak to you about the perceived need to construct an overpass, pedestrian bicycle overpass at the intersection of Starkey Boulevard and State Road 54 for several reasons. Obviously, in light of the trail coming up from the south from Pinellas County, which will connect our beautiful emerging trail system to the south with the Pinellas Trail, we will have a lot more we will have a lot of bicycle and pedestrian, mostly bicycle traffic coming and going north and south at an intersection. And here's a picture of the intersection of 54 and Starkey Boulevard, which I took last night. Placed that bike, courtesy of my son-in-law, on the median to show you, and I think there's a few other pictures, that the median is rather narrow on what is at this point a seven or eight lane street. 7-lane street, which when there's full traffic whizzing by it over 55 plus miles an hour is not a good place to be. And so at this point, I believe you should consider putting an overpass in your planning process immediately, because it's my understanding that currently the land necessary to do so is still available on the corners of that intersection. Furthermore, I believe as you're trying to promote Pasco County, I think it's very important to foster not just local traffic, entice local communities with children safely onto the trail system that we have, which is beginning to be wonderful, but also benefit from an emerging trend in cyclotourism, which will use Pasco County to go to visit and pass through, whether they're going north or south. But that said, that's really that was the purpose of my opportunity to talk to you this morning. Here's a picture that gives you a little bit of an overview how little you are with your bicycle on that median, which is barely 6 or 7 feet wide, and not a good place to be, as I noticed myself last night. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gunther, how many pictures are there? Are there 2 pictures? 4? So
There's 3 or 4, I think.
If you can flash through them pretty quickly, we can. But that is pretty telling, that the next one where you see your.
imagine a family
Yeah, with
with
your
kids
bike.
standing on that thing.
Yeah,
with
well, you
cars
couldn't,
going
yeah.
50 miles an hour
Yeah,
right by you. Yeah.
very dangerous. So I think we saw all 4 pictures. Thank you, sir, for bringing that to our attention. Are there other individuals in the audience who would like to speak today during public comment? Seeing none, we will move on to the approval of the minutes from the.
You got one.
Oh, there he is. Hey, how are you? I thought you just. how are
I
you?
am Don Rosenthal, the Assistant County Administrator for Development Services. We have a couple of personnel changes we'd like to make you aware of as they impact this board directly. Victoria C. Pitos, Acting Assistant Planning and Development Director and Executive Planner of Long Range Planning. Mr. Pitos is the Acting Assistant Planning and Development Director and Executive Planner for Pasco County, managing the Long Range Planning Group, which is responsible for the implementation of the comprehensive plan, including development of specific area, corridor, and neighborhood studies and corresponding project development. Victorious has 15 years of public sector professional experience in urban planning and policy management in the Chicago metropolitan region. He holds a Master's of Science degree in urban planning and policy from the University of Illinois at Chicago, College of Urban Planning and Policy Administration, and a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from the University of Chicago College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. He is a certified planner with the American Institute of Certified Planners. And we also have a new director of our MPO, and Nick Terrius is going to introduce him for us.
Victorios Pitos with Pasco County Planning and Development.
Good morning.
Morning, everyone.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor to be here today. I'm going to also take a moment to introduce the new MPO director, John Villeneuve, standing to my right. Mr. Villeneuve has spent the last 30 years in the areas of land use, air quality, and transportation planning. He has worked in a few various countries, such as Canada and Australia. He's also worked in California, which could be its own country, in the development and implementation of projects and policies towards achieving more livable communities. More recently, he has worked here locally in Pasco County with PCPT and the current development division in the Planning and Development Department in Access Management Planning, and has seen our growth occurring and looks forward to planning for future transportation networks in the region.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Want to sit, and we're very happy to hopefully have some stability in here moving on. So
Thank
a
you. And
few
in the
words.
urgency of time, I'll be brief, but I just wanted to say look forward to working with all of you. Our goal is to assist, to move our county and our cities forward. And really, we have 2 major roles. One is to complete our LRTP, which is really our vision. And when you think of it, Ali Atefi and Manny Lajmiri and Mabel have been here 25 years. They started a plan 25 years ago, which is now what we're seeing on the street today. So they won't see the next one, but they're developing the next one. So they have their wisdom to assist us to make this future development proper and make it in a way that we want it to be. So, and the second thing is we have to do some succession planning. We still have a lot of wisdom, but we don't have a lot of years. So our role is to make sure that we replace ourselves with good, bright young people to move ourselves into this generation of a Hyperloop and various other technologies. So with that, we're just here to serve and do our best.
Thank you. Thank you. Very well said. And yeah, it sounds like got some good plans ahead of you that you want to engage in. So thank you. And I think we have a great team. And I know until you came, I know we've those that have worked in the interim positions have really done an outstanding job of trying to keep us moving forward and progressing and making Pasco the best it can be. So welcome to both of you, and we look forward to some wonderful things ahead. So thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the MPO board? Get them all this time? I think so. Okay. We'll move on to the approval of the meeting minutes from May 10th. We've had a chance to review those. Are there any changes, additions, or corrections?
Move approval.
We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We're on to item for the advisory committee reports. The first up is the CAC meeting, and I believe we have Ms. Miller with us this morning. Good morning. Hey there.
Good morning, everybody. Kelly Miller, 5020 McCaslin Drive, Newport Richey, Florida. I printed this big. I thought I'd be able to get away with all my glasses, but it doesn't look that way. So the CAC met on June 6th at the First National Bank of Pasco in Dade City. I have to mention it was a very rainy day that day, so I'd like to thank all the members and the staff who came out and attended in person. And a special thank you to Mr. Steve Hicks at First National Bank, who's working on bringing us our first Skype meeting. So we're kind of moving into the new age ourselves. We approved the minutes from both our April 4th meeting and the May 2nd meeting. Then Manny gave us the update from your last past May 10th board meeting. We approved the AECom Amendment Number 5 to the extend the contract until February 9th, 2019, and the change order number 1 to include a public involvement process, also known as a PIP. We also learned more and recommended approval for task number MPO 18-029 from Tyndall Oliver and Associates Incorporated, a Phase A of the 2045 Long Range Transportation Plan, or LRTP. Ali Atefi then gave us an in-depth presentation about the Transportation Improvement Program. I have to say I was very impressive, and he did a lot of hard work on that. I think you guys will agree when you see that today. The CAC recommended approval. Our status reports included the Ridge Road Extension update, the Starkey Gap Tri-County Trail fact sheet, and information on the collaborative process for the federal performance measures. And if I could just take a quick minute, the day of the CAC was also the day of the first T-BARDA CAC meeting. However, the universe had a totally different plan for me. I was driving down the 301 and my alternator decided to die. I got stuck at the corner of 301 and Chancey Road in Mr. Smith's town, and I have to tell you there were some fabulous people there, Mr. Eduardo and Angel, who helped me jump my car, only for me to turn around and realize I locked the keys in it. Okay, so that was like a completely unbelievable day. 5 hours later, I made it back over to the West Coast, okay? But the point is that I was not able to attend the T-BARDA that day as planned, but I did learn how wonderful our transit system is here in Pasco. So the next day, I was able to quickly get a schedule right on my phone for the 19th. I walked less than 10 minutes, caught the bus for only $1.50 when Uber wanted $6.25 and the taxi wanted $12. I was dropped off right in front of the rental car place, and I was back on the road by 8 a.m., okay, the next day. So thank you, Kurt and his team, for all the hard work and the improvements on the transit system firsthand. So thank you guys all for your hard work, too, and I want to wish everybody a happy summer and safe summer, and we'll see you back in August.
Thank you for sharing that story with us. Are there any questions or comments, Kelly?
Thanks.
Thank you for that, and again, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. This time, we have Dr. Stovall, who's representing the BPAC, giving us an update of their meetings.
Good morning. You heard from one of our members, Gunter. He was the chairman before me, so he's a good guy, and we are going to agenda his discussion item at our next meeting, but we haven't had a meeting to do that since. Our last meeting was at Tri-County. We met in Pinellas County, and we had a number of agenda items, but one of the ones that's kind of exciting is there's a new Florida Trail Town program. The first city to get the designation is Dunedin. If you know about Dunedin, they're right on top of the Pinellas Trail, and people do all sorts of things there. So we have something now to aspire to. I think that's going to work for us as our trail system develops. So we want to keep watching that program. We had a very interesting presentation from Pinellas County. You know, Pinellas County, we look at in the bike trail business is mature, and so they're always doing kind of things that are innovative. And now they have a project in the city to take a 4-lane road, reduce it to 3 lanes with a buffer bike lane. Sounds like something we talked about in Dade City. And they're doing that so that they can make it safer for pedestrians and for bicyclists. And they also have designated some high road traffic for cars, and they'd like to get the cars on those corridors and not so much on the others. So I thought that's very innovative of them, and it's what you can do in a mature system when things aren't growing quite as fast as they are for us. But we had a good meeting. We're looking forward to continuing to work with our new bike planner, Ross. He's hit the ground running, so I think we're well served there.
Very good. Questions for Dr. Stovall?
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your service on that committee, and thank you, Gunter, for being here as well. With that, we move on to our action items. We have several today. The first one is calendar revision. I believe Ally's going to, is it Ally or John's going to handle it? Okay.
My primary tasks are this and running the computer, so. So this is really just a housekeeping item. Because you normally go dark in July, we want to keep the sequence of rotation. And so also in August, we will be having the discussion about the Wesley Chapel connection study. So because it's predominantly in the east side, it would be an opportunity for more folks to attend. So this is just consistent with making sure we have a rotation. So we just ask you to accept the revision of our calendar for the remainder of the year.
Move to accept?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries, and thank you for that update and cleaning that up for us. Second item we have today is a public hearing approving of fiscal years 2018-19 through 2019-20 for the Transportation Improvement Program. And Ally, here
Yes,
you are.
thank you. And this is the draft final TIP, Transportation Improvement Program. We had a 30-day public comment period that started in May 4th and ended June 4th. We received comments from Federal Highway, FDOT, and both Central and District 7. We addressed all the comments. So we are here to hopefully MPO board approve the TIP so we can send it to the Federal Highways. This TIP was developed using the 2017 priority list, which then in August, we're going to do a 2018 priority list for development of the next cycle of the TIP. I do have a PowerPoint if you all, I know in a rush to go over the projects, if you all want, or if not, then we're just looking for your vote to approve.
What's the pleasure of the board? I know this did generate lots of discussion at our last meeting, so would you like to see the PowerPoint, or are you satisfied with what you've seen?
This is to go over the maps that are in your packet for each project, just to give you some information. Basically, you have the maps in your packet.
Commissioner Starkey?
Is it what was,
I think
So it's what's in our packet today?
the maps
Because I know we had something sent
Commissioner,
earlier.
they start on page, if you look at the top page numbers, I think it's page, let's see, this is stable. I can see the page number.
yeah, where do we?
I think it's worth, I mean, you know, we did, in my opinion, we generate a lot of discussion.
This is page 82. Go 82 and then
you wanna
it's
run
the
through it?
next page of it.
Do you all want to run through it? I mean, we did talk about it a lot, just if you can do that, it would be easier than us shuffling through. This is a public hearing, if there's anybody in the audience, and so that, I think, let's do that. The other items we should get through hopefully fairly quickly, so let's take some time.
I have to leave at 11:30.
Okay, well, I think that's the only item that's right, the next, right, the others we should go through fairly quickly, so let's, I think this is important enough that, are you okay with that? Anybody disagree? All right, I'm not hearing anything, so I guess it's okay, so let's go ahead.
Okay, I don't know if you can make this a little bit bigger, but that was the intent.
Well, at least we can see it, I believe, on our, well, that's not good for the audience, but.
Okay, so these are mainly capacity projects. The first one is State Road 52 from Suncoast to 41, and the construction starting in or the funding for construction is in fiscal year 2019. So when I say 2019, it means from July of 2018 to following year. So some people thought, oh, it's starting, so but it's really July 18.
So that actually will start on October 1 of
Okay,
18.
so the start construction is a different date. This is when the funding is available. So DOT usually then go through the bidding process, and
Right.
once the funding is
That's
available.
when they start their bidding? Okay.
Yeah, so that's when the funding is available to do the construction.
Right.
Ally, can you hang on 1 second?
Sure.
Does anyone have that in their book?
Yeah, there's a map, I think if you go.
Not exactly like that, the map is
So
there
there's
without
something
the
on
little.
59 that says capacity projects, 5-year work program. Is that what we're talking about?
By page 82.
Yeah, there's a map. The TIP page is 59. Yeah, if you go
In
to
my book,
TIP.
59 is this.
Yeah, these are the ones I'm going through. on the-
Okay. All right.
Yeah, 15, yeah. I think it's,
We need a better printer.
Thank you.
So that's funding, but then it'll actually start probably in 2020 when construction
Well, it
would
depends
start.
on how quickly DOT get the project.
They're working a lot faster than
And
they
they
used
have
to.
more info on that, yeah.
Supposed to be, it's supposed to be let in June of 19, so you probably see construction in the fall of 19 will start. So a
Okay.
little over a year from now.
Yeah. Okay, that's about right.
Okay.
I think
Does
that's what
everybody
I've been hearing and seeing on,
Okay.
before. That's
Madam
good.
Chair,
Commissioner Mariano?
is there any way we could speed that up? Because I tell you, the traffic from.
You ever hear that? What is?
And I just said it, because the traffic from Suncoast to 41 is brutal, day in and day out, both ways. Is there
And
any way
they're
we can
aware
move
of
that
that.
quicker?
I don't think we could let it any quicker because we went through the right of way and now the design process, we had to get the plans out. I think we tried to get it into next fiscal year. June is the last time we can get it into fiscal year, so I think we hurried it up already to get it into June.
Yeah, okay.
So.
Yeah,
All right, thank you.
Yeah, the traffic is.
that's good. It's going to be well needed by the time it gets there, so. It already is needed, so
Could be awful under construction.
that's a good improvement.
Okay.
Second one?
So moving on, next project is US 41. That one is 4-laning, construction fiscal year 2020, construction.
And that's 41 from 52 south?
Right, south to where the,
Okay. And that also includes some red lights like at the Government Center, I believe, and our red lights coming there?
I believe so.
I believe that's right, if I
Sheriff's
remember right,
office?
yeah.
I believe so.
That's all good, all needed, yep.
and then next project is continue on 52, east of 41, all the way to Bellamy Brothers. This one doesn't have any construction money in this TIP. There's right-of-way
Yep.
spread out over 4 years, from 2020 to 2023.
Right.
Okay.
I see they're paving some of that out there now, so,
Repaving.
repave, yeah.
Okay, so this one is Clinton Extension. This is the one that is a brand-new road that go connect from where 52 kind of
The new alignment,
new alignment.
Right.
And basically provides a 4-lane highway all the way to Fort King and 301 in that area.
and it's all on target, thanks to DOT and also our staff working together, got that going, so it's
And I
good.
believe county paying for right-of-way.
Right, yes.
So when's construction of that one?
Construction is 2019. And
They've
then-
sent out all the letters by June 1st of the offers on the right-of-way, so that's been taken care of. It's good.
So this one is actually a new project that we got from state legislation, give us some money to do a PD&E to look at realigning US 98, so the intersection of 98 and 301 lines up with Clinton on the west side to create, to eliminate the jog that is being created.
That's for the engineering or the,
This is a PD&E, meaning that before design, you do a project development and environmental to look at the alignment and environmental impacts and go through public hearing, and then once this alternative is finalized, then you go design.
How much is a PD&E?
I think it's, on this case, is 1 million. We
that's
got
$1
the
million,
money.
yep.
Yeah.
State gave that money
Yeah.
to realignment.
That is gonna make so much sense.
Another question was, are we also looking now at 4-laning 98 toward Lakeland to the county line, and then
We don't
I think
have
Polk
that.
County's looking at 4-laning back to us.
Yeah, and then when we do LRTP, we're starting that right now, and it's due adoption in December 2019. We will look at all these different improvements.
Okay, we want to make sure we look at 4-laning our part of that going toward Lakeland.
Yeah, this is one of the projects we have to look at.
Right.
Of course, there's the priorities, and
Right.
there's so much money, so we gotta balance what.
Yep. I've got a friend of mine looking at that for Polk County also, and for Pasco.
Well, it's important to connect to Polk.
To connect both.
And goes all
That's
the way to
important
I-4.
roadway, not only to our county, but to theirs too, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that would be very bad if all of a sudden we have all that traffic, it's going from
And I-
the 4 to the 2.
I want to think all that right-of-way's there,
Yeah, it
so,
doesn't make-
because it looks like it's there.
Doesn't make
When
any
you ride from 98 from Dade City to Lakeland,
Mm.
that right-of-way, it looks like it's already been taken, there. Most of it. It's been there for a long time.
Okay, so next project, going a little bit to the west. This is 4154 intersection improvements. This is preserving some funding for right-of-way for the ultimate, as part of the Vision 5456 task. So we don't know what the improvement is, but DOT give us some money for in year 2023 to whatever improvements we come up with to pay for that.
Is that the lengthening of the
No, this is different. I will
That's
talk
different
about
from
that.
that.
This is
Okay.
just to preserve right-of-way. That's about $30 million right-of-way for the ultimate solution.
Right.
Now, this one is at I-75 and 56. This is basically providing a southbound lane on I-75. So imagine you're going south on I-75 from 56. Then if you want to go on, continue on I-75, they provide a bridge for you to avoid the weaving problem that people want to go to 275. So you're south on 75, you want to go on, continue 75, you bridge it over, you go 75, and then if you want to go 275, you just continue.
Right.
So basically,
Like a flyover.
yeah, it's kind of like reverse of what we did on the northbound. So that's that project in which the right-of-way is 2023. They don't have construction at this point. Now, this is the Wesley Chapel Boulevard. This is, we're getting some TRIP money for this. There is a joint project between the county and DOT. The construction is 2022, I believe.
What is that again? I'm sorry. Wesley Chapel Boulevard?
That's Wesley Chapel Boulevard, 6 lane in it from.
Oh, from 54
From
to
56, 54.
56?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 2020. Now, this one is again another project that we got from state legislation, $15 million for I-75 and overpass interchange. And the construction for that is 2019. I'm excited about that new interchange.
That's real fast for the construction, right?
You have to design it first.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Right. I mean, it's a big deal, and it's actually going to open up our county quite a bit more than it is, so.
I think, part of the issue was when you get an earmark like that, it comes in the year that you
Yeah.
get it, but we can roll it forward if we need to, if the design isn't ready yet to go to
Oh, I got-
construction.
Yeah, we've got right of way to get on that.
And we're also working with the
Yeah.
county, they're gonna be sending us a letter to ask DOT to oversee the design and construction of it.
Yeah.
In working closely with the county.
Right.
But we'll oversee that just based on, it's not very often that the county builds an interchange, and so
Right.
we can probably.
Well, we need
help
your
them.
help. I know we do, so, I mean, that's, working together is the best route to go, so. That's going to be it's a valuable intersection.
Great.
Okay, so next is series of projects on US 301 to go from 2 to 4 lane. This one is at the southern end, Hillsborough County line, up to State Road, the new 56, the future 56 when it comes in. We only have design money for this in year 2019. And then the next 301 is north of that to the south city limits, and that one is, they have right-of-way programmed and spread out over 4 years, from 2019 to 2023.
I know there's some developers in that part from 56 in towards Zephyr Hills that's already given up right away for that.
That was one of them.
so,
That was Winfield's Gunther
Yep.
sitting there
a couple of them there.
that spoke to us this morning.
And then this is another project, we got state legislation funding. This is to looking at extending 56 east of 301, provides a loop around the city of Zephyr Hills. This is more city of Zephyr Hills really wanted this project. And I believe there is also a local match required for $250,000. What we got from state was about $750,000. And it's just a PD&E for now to look at the feasibility and alternatives.
Yeah.
And then this is the northern part of City of Zephyr Hills on US 301, going from 4 to 6 lane. And there's only right-of-way money for now. It's from 2019 to 2021, spread out over 3 years. Well, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Let me go. This project that I talked about was the one-way pair within the city limit. This is the one the city been talking to DOT about looking at the concepts. And last time I talked to Todd Vanderbilt, well, he said that now you're looking at one-way on 6th and 301, 3 lanes on 301 and 3 lanes on 6th for now. There is right-of-way money spread out over 3 years. There is no construction at this time. And then this is the one that is the northern end of the city of Zephyr Hills, going from 4 to 6 lane, and the right-of-way is 2023. Now, I don't have graphics for this, but there are turnpike projects. Suncoast and Ridge Road Extension Ridge Road Extension Interchange is design is fiscal year 2019 and construction 2019 and 2020, and it really depends how soon we can get the Ridge Road Extension done. And then Suncoast widening from 54 to 52. The Turnpike is going to be doing a PD&E study to determine the number of lanes, and then they have design in fiscal year 2023. And same with the southern section from 54 to Van Dyke in Hillsborough County. Again, they're going to do a PD&E to look at number of lanes and design. This one is a little bit earlier, 2022.
Van Dyke's 2 words, just for whoever's doing that. Looks a little funny.
And this is a good time to talk to Turnpike. We are communicating with them about Tower Road and Suncoast, what we're going to do at that location. We had some concepts we sent to them, so it provides some way for people to use Tower Road to get on Suncoast. We send them a CD collector road system. We're going to talk to them, and if it's feasible, we're going to bring it back and talk about it.
So we were at the FDOT offices, was that yesterday? Tuesday? A bunch of us with Turnpike and FDOT talking about Tower Road, so under comments. I have to leave at 11:30 though. I'd like to, if it gets to 11:25, I'd like to give that report before I leave. Yeah.
Okay, so then there's also intersection improvement project. That's the very important project to relieve a little bit US 4154. That's just to extend the turn lanes, if you recall. That's right. The construction fiscal year 2019. And then we have ITS projects on 54 to help the capacity until we figure out the ultimate improvement. We have design 2020 and construction 2023 to have smart traffic signals and cameras and things like that. From Gun Highway all the way to Bruce Lee down.
It's nice that we'll be able to tell the public we're doing something to relieve some of the congestion on 54 until we get the big solution.
Yeah, same with Little Road, going all the way from Star Trail to 19. That's all connected to our traffic control center in here. And so quickly, there are very less number of projects for resurfacing. If you want to go over them. Then this one is on State Road 54. We're going to resurface that in 2019. That's kind of the realignment, the old realignment of 54. This one is on US 41, construction or resurfacing in 2019. That's, I think, from Aaron Cutoff to north of Caliente, like Tower Road area. And then State Road 39 on the more southern end of the county. That one is in 2020. And then on 301, close to Dade City, 2019. And then these are sidewalk projects.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Just
Commissioner
to stay back, I mean, we looked at all the capital projects first. Did everybody notice there was nothing to the west of Suncoast Parkway done? When you look at the resurfacing, you've got Little Road that's like collapsing in big pockets. The county's been repairing it now for 5 or 6 years, all the way from below 52 all the way down, continually. Hasn't been redone. To me, that road's,
Trouble Creek.
well,
Falling apart.
from there, and you can go from Little Road all the way from Mass Ave to the south. Number one, it's 2 lanes, which I don't know when we're going to ever expand that road, but it should probably be 3 lanes to go all the way down, all the way to Trouble Creek.
It's in the plan somewhere.
But again, I'm looking at these plans, 5-year plans, and every single project is the other side of Suncoast Parkway. When are we going to get some balance to the schedule?
And I totally agree, but just a reminder that this is a state and federal funded projects. This is not about county resurfacing projects.
This is not any of the penny money or.
Commissioner Oakley, did you have a comment?
Yeah, well, the comment is, and I understand what you're talking about, but I was born and raised in Dade City, and I'm 72, fixing to go to 73, and we've been my lifetime, not having a 4-lane road go all the way over to the other side of our county. So when you see some of these things happening over in we're due. It's been 72 years and we haven't had them, so.
Well, and you know,
And we've got a lot of growth over there, and I understand you have a lot of growth here, and these roads have been here for a long time, and those are county roads, and I agree with you. We have a lot of resurfacing, not only on our side of the county, but also over here, that needs to be resurfaced, and it seems like they're lagging behind, and I agree with you that they need to be resurfaced and better. We have Island Boulevard and others that are county roads that I think are coming up in this 19, I believe, on Island Boulevard. It's, like you say, it's falling apart, so
I agree.
that needs to be done.
I agree.
Commissioner,
Yeah,
okay.
we're in
Commissioner,
agreement, so.
I just have to say, this is a good timing to talk about the county, when we develop CIP, to talk about resurfacing projects. And also, if you want to have capacity projects, a good time to talk about it, new projects, is when we do priority lists for the next round of TIP. This is a good point to mention that there is no capacity projects on the west side. And then priority list going to be brought to you in August for the next round of TIP. Then, these are good suggestions.
And one thing,
Councilman Stark.
thank you. One thing I've learned too is that the municipalities and the county and the state, in my opinion, need to do a better job collaborating. The overpass at Marine Parkway on US 19. So the city was allotted $750,000 from the state. However, we were told we had to use that money within 12 months. It took another $1.5 million needed to complete that project. The city and the county weren't working together, so our fault, from the city standpoint, to come up with the funding needed in case we got that 750. So we got the 750. We didn't have the 1.5 needed, so the 750 got snatched back because we didn't plan properly, in my opinion, as a city and county working together. We should have that money in place along with the MPO board, so when we got that 750, we had the additional funding needed. Because we didn't, we lost 750,000. We still don't have an overpass, which will help connect the bike and walkway going south along 19, tying into the Anklet River Basin through downtown at the Starkey Park. So it was very, very disappointing. I kind of learned after the fact what happened, so I guess I could have worked a little closer with our city manager, knew what was going on up until then. But it's just an example where we got the money allotted to us for a much, much needed project on the west side of 19 where people are dying trying to cross US. I mean, you talk about dangerous roads. US 19 is the most dangerous road we have in our county, period. End of discussion. So there we had $750,000 allotted to us. We didn't have the planning done properly on our side, and we lost some money, and we're kind of back to square one. So if we could just kind of do a better job working when we're talking about these projects, I just think we need to collaborate better, because this was all kind of brought to me after the fact. I was like, what happened to the money? Well, we didn't have the extra 1.5, and it was very disappointing.
Commissioner Starkey.
And I agree with you. I remember when we looked at the legislative appropriation, and there was the overpass, and we didn't know anything about it. So we could have helped, with that. So I agree in working together. Going back to the resurfacing, I, like Commissioner Mariano, would like to suggest that we find some way to get Little Road and Trouble Creek in the mix to be resurfaced. And I don't know how that works, but you said that this wasn't the money that we would use for that. So what money is it that we would use for that? Is that penny money or?
This is part of your capital improvement plan that Debbie Bolduc work on, using gas tax, penny for Pasco, things like that. This is strictly the state and federal
Okay, so
money
those
that-
aren't FAP roads, I get that. So when it's appropriate, we'd like to bring up putting Little and Trouble into some pot to get fixed.
Right, and I talked to Debbie Bolduc about that, what I heard today, and she's developing the CIP for next year, and then working with Public Works to, because I understand Public Works also looking at the inventory of all the roads within the county, figuring out the priorities, what are the conditions and all that. So that's more appropriate in that arena,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
And just to say, Little Road does have a plan to be widened in that other pot of money within the next few years. It's not in this pack.
So, and I think that's what, you all know what the pots of money, and I think sometimes we lose track of what
Yes.
pot gets used for what. So even though the wants and desires to get things done, I think that's there. Just a comment on, and I think what we're doing now with the county, and we're having ours come up, is the county is sitting down with the cities and municipalities, and at that time, we're addressing lots of things, including transportation. So I think, a little late to the table, and I hear your pain there, feel it. We just, again, opening the lines of communication to make sure we all understand what we're, in each of our individual areas, but collectively as a whole, what we need to get it done, so.
And we do have, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Commissioner Oakley?
I'll just step, Mr. Starkey, just so you'll know, and I talked to Senator Simpson about that overpass, and he was the one that got the money for that. The counties and cities were not working back then like they are to get today. We're really working together now, a lot better than we did. And if he'd have known it was $1.5 million money's need, he would have reached out to try to get the $1.5 million for you. And it went away because it didn't have enough money to take care of it, and the cities couldn't afford it at that time. And he realized that, and he's open to bringing that back up to try to get that money for them. And we're willing to work with you and get that done. So I think that's something we can do in the future.
Yeah, Madam Chair?
Yes.
And just one final comment to this part. Mr. Gwynn, I'm delighted that you're here. When we hear about pots of money, et cetera, we're doing an ITS project that's millions of dollars from Star Trail all the way up through Little Road. That road actually flows pretty well. I will tell you, I would much rather see us look at that pot of money for the ITS if I could delay that and get the road repaved with the same pot of money. So it would just make more sense. Literally, I got potholes in the middle of the road, get patched and patched and patched. I got the road to the south disintegrating as we speak, and it just would make a lot more sense to me before I did ITS on a road that does actually flow very well to go spend money on ITS when I could do paving, which would make a lot more sense, because when people avoid the ruts, accidents could happen as well. So,
When you do ITS, though, doesn't it dig up the road? Do they dig up the road
Yes,
to put the fiber underneath?
from the
So
side
maybe what we,
of the road.
Did FDOT
No,
want to
the fiber
respond?
goes
Do you want
Yeah,
FDOT to respond to that,
Yeah.
or, yeah?
And if I follow the discussions you're saying about the ITS on 54 versus resurfacing on Little?
no.
No, Star Trail on Little Road, we have put in an ITS system, which is just below 52. It runs up, I guess, all the way to Little Road to the north, where it intersects. Yeah, it's to the north.
Oh, that runs fine.
That's what I'm saying, thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm spending all that money on ITS right now when I got roads that are disintegrating down to the south.
Yeah, I would
I
agree.
opposed
agree.
doing this before. They said it's pots of money, but being that you're here in the audience today, and Ali just made reference to pots of money have to go here and there, and Little Road didn't apply to what we're doing, well, to me, it all makes sense if we look at everything together.
You know, our resurfacing program is actually managed differently. It's on a needs basis on our system. And so we get that money allocated to us from our central office in Tallahassee based on which roads have a need for the resurfacing. They program them out every 3 years. But to take that money out of an ITS allocated pot we couldn't really just take that and put it on a county road for resurfacing.
It's on Little Road now.
Right, but it's.
We want to stay on Little Road.
Right, but it would, the repaving program is a completely
That's
different.
what he's saying, it's different, that's what I
But
just
that's,
heard. He just can't.
and again, the problem with government, I've got a pot of money over here, I can't use it, even though it's the same road, I can't use it in the same road to improve what's really a bigger need. There's a problem.
And I can understand how at times it can look like that. You know, we all face, I've
it's
been
not
on the
gonna-
public sector
ain't
now
gonna
2 years, I'm still learning all the rules, so, you know. Yeah, the resurfacing program is a completely different, you know, the only way I've seen local roads at times get money to get resurfaced is in sometimes for safety, but even that's an application process that takes a while. The ITS money is coming out of congestion management money, I'm sure, and it's money that's gonna be used for certain purposes, and resurfacing just wouldn't be one of the ones that when the legislature and everybody creates the money and how it has to be used, we have to follow those guidelines.
Okay.
I know we're trying to move forward, so are we good? And we could have that, that conversation. It is very complicated, but in the interest of time, and since people are leaving, Ali, do you want to?
Just quickly, these are the last map, sidewalk projects. This is on Ridge Road to close the gap, construction 2023. And then this one is on Congress.
So the P&E is done? Because the dates aren't on it on our thing. It says funding PE in 2017, 2018. So construction is in 23. Wow. Why would you fund the P&E in 18 and construct it in 5 years later?
Well, according to this TIP, the PE is 2021, construction is 2023 for the.
Is that what you guys have?
For the Ridge Road gap.
No, I'm on the Ridge Road multi-use path, number 1. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm on something different than you, I guess. No. I have no idea where that is.
Yeah, I'm looking for the.
Let me find it.
What
On my list, are we on the multimodal projects, or am I in the wrong place?
Side-
Let me see what.
Multimodal is different from the sidewalk project.
Is this what you're looking at?
I think so.
Yeah, isn't the sidewalk different from the?
No, I'm on the wrong place.
These are priority lists that we used last year to develop this TIP. This is.
Sidewalk is different than the
Yeah,
multimodal.
the actual program, if you want to see where it starts.
That first part of it.
On page, if you look at your TIP document, page 37, there are a bunch of tables in there, look something like this.
Yes, sir.
These are your actual projects that I'm going through that are in your TIP packet.
What about the
The
page?
list that you were looking at, this is
Not in my
page
book.
37 of TIP, and it's if you look at on the top part of your pages, it's page 62.
All right, why don't you look at page 42?
What page? Because that isn't the right page for me.
Yeah,
Well,
page
we
40.
have two type of page numbers. One
Go
is
to-
for the
Yeah, the top
overall,
and the bottom
for
is-
the overall document is on top, and then
Top
the,
right,
the,
60.
I think it's easier to look at than
Oh,
another
okay.
graph. Yes. You know?
I think page 42 is a better page to look at.
okay, so are you talking about the top page, 42?
Top and
Page
bottom number.
42 and
which graph?
43.
Yeah, you're looking at that other graph, which I think is much easier to.
It's much easier to read, plus it
Yeah.
highlights where the new projects have come in.
42.
Page 42.
The bottom
please.
number or the top number?
Top right, not the bottom.
Yeah, those are much easier, when you go through them, I think that's easier to understand and just to read. Rather than, staff, I think, is much familiar with the others,
No,
but these
on
are.
mine, 42 is regional fare box, so I'm obviously in the wrong section.
No, mine, I'm with you.
Okay.
Ours were
This is
printed-
the,
ours
like
were-
the most confusing.
Ours were
book.
printed at the same time, I guess.
It's on the second part of the page, priority, transportation,
I don't-
sidewalk trails.
I have no idea where it is.
That's the page I'm looking at.
Says 42 at your top, though.
Yeah, 42.
Oh, your 42 is different
My
than
42
our-
says regional
I think
fare
that's the
box.
problem.
Yeah, they're,
This is.
our packets are
Our
not numbered the
packets
same.
aren't the same.
John, can you pull this page up? Please?
so that's not helping us. What you're showing us and what we, that's multimodal, so it's not the same.
So it's not multimodal.
No, it's not
It's not
multimodal,
regional
but
trail.
there is a graph that has the sidewalk projects. But why? This is easier for us to look at.
Can we need to work on doing this differently in the future, somehow. I'm trying to find it. I have no idea how to find it.
Yeah, the one you have with the graphs, that Commissioner Mary, that's so much easier to understand, and when you're looking at the priorities and it has everything outlined, that is so much easier.
I want sidewalks. I haven't found
Did you
it.
see, yeah, I don't think I have. Those are very difficult.
What Commissioner Mariano is looking at is priority list again. Not all the projects in the priority list are funded. So if you look at that priority list, you may get confused about when I talk about the actual projects that get funded.
So we're just dealing with the ones that are, funded, rather than that complete list that has the non-funded when we start switching everything around.
Right.
Commissioner Mariano?
Yeah, Madam Chair, that's the problem I have. Last year, we sat here, I think, as a commission, and we talked about the Cody River Bridge crossing under the bridge project. And we made it very clear we want to make it top priority. You said we couldn't do it from the top 4 and top 5. It's still ranked at top 13. Most disturbing with this whole chart is you've put in 3 brand-new projects ahead of this project. Where do you get the authority to go and make that shift, move a new project ahead of one project that we said we wanted to make it a top priority project? How does that happen?
Staff doesn't approve the priority list. The MPO board approves it. The priority list that you see was approved last year.
I'd like a copy of what we're talking about, but I don't think I have one. I'd like to see a copy of the sidewalk list. Can
Now-
someone there get me a copy of what we're looking at? Because I would very much like to see
11:30 's
what
not looking
Commissioner
good.
Mariano's talking about.
Which page?
Can I make a suggestion on the priority list that Commissioner Mariano is talking about? I understand where you're coming from, and I know, talking last meetings, we have an agenda item to talk about that, the TA funding, the sidewalks, and where we are with that project, that important under US 19, that's a separate item.
No,
But
this is an
just
item
to-
we're looking at right now, and it's a list that's included in this list, and I'm really disturbed that you've put 3 brand-new projects on a project we tried to find a way to get it to the very top of the list. We struggled with the sidewalk over in Wesley Chapel. There was another project that we had trouble with, couldn't get in front of those. But there's no way that you can, I don't see any way we can justify how we can put 3 new projects in front of that project, that you can bring it to us this structured this way, that we got to have this conversation.
And I think at 2 different forums, both this forum, we approved it, and the Board of County Commissioners, we had our meeting with all the municipalities on West Pasco. Every county commissioner agreed that it should be a top project.
Well, you know, I would like to weigh in on it, but since I can't see the list, I
There
don't.
you go.
Right there.
Thank you. Oh, that's what I asked you, if it was multimodal, and you said no.
It is but it's the second, it is on sidewalks is the second page of that. And I think what Ally's saying too is that staff doesn't arbitrarily put things in different orders. And I know that we've had some very active discussions here, in which you have clearly said that when we move one up, another one gets shifted, and that's always the conversation that happens here, people getting out of line. So I know you have educated us and told us that on a number of occasions, that they're not just putting them there without this board or the Board of County Commissioners approving them, so.
And we have a item here, you can talk about priorities, but the program that we are presenting, that we need to move on and approve it, because we won't get federal funds if we don't, is using last year's priority list that the MPO board approved to develop this program that I'm presenting. The issue about why we ranked certain projects and all that is a separate discussion. It's about priority lists that not only we can talk about it today, also in August, we're going to bring up the priority list for 2018, that then we can develop a TIP next year.
And you did,
So that's the process.
And that's the conversation we had at the last meeting. I know we're not meeting in July, but that was, you also indicated to us that this is the list of what we're currently working with funded. In August, we can have that conversation again, is what I'm understanding, Ally, of what Commissioner Mariano and others' concerns are here. So August would be the time to start doing that, I'm going to say shifting, juggling, allocating, thank you, and but this one at this point, so as to not lose the funding and to move forward, needs to be addressed as it is and not looking at all the projects that are not funded. So the shift, am I making sense? So any other additional shifting or reallocating will happen in August. So the conversation of those items we can talk about it all day today, but it's not, I don't think it's going to make a difference at this point, given what our direction is being asked today.
This action
Commissioner
item
Oakley?
now?
No.
It is, well, the TIP is an action item to approve the TIP so we can send it to Federal Highway to get money.
Right, and it is a public hearing, so there may be people in the audience. So once we get through Ally, we have to open up a public hearing, move forward. So that's what we need to get through today, and then having that conversation in August.
Okay.
Commissioner
Because
Starkey.
don't we have several
So-
items we got to get through?
We do, and I know you guys are leaving us, so we need to, Commissioner Starkey, so we need to move this. We've been given some direction or some requests that we either approve or not approve, but it sounds like there's it's important that we approve it so we can move forward and give direction. Commissioner Starkey.
I just want you to note that number 3 is this one, mile stretch on Arcadia to Grant is done, so you can squiggle right through that. And I think there's another one on here that's done, that was supposed to be taken off of this.
Majestic.
Yeah, so they shouldn't even be on here if they're done.
Okay, so the priority list that is in your packet, it's 2017. We cannot change that at this time. This is just, we have to document that this is what we use to develop the TIP that you see today. So in August, we can make all those updates that you're talking about.
Gotcha.
Okay.
You know what, maybe we need so it sounds like, again, we need to move forward. I think we almost need a separate workshop so we get re-educated, since we have new members and new things set separate from this, so when we get to this point at this meeting, that whatever length of time we need, we can have that conversation, hopefully have the county administrator and the appropriate officials. That's because what I'm hearing from you and what I'm hearing on this end of the dais is, I don't think we're ever going to get there, guys. In the next hour and a half, we could be here for the next, we can be, thank you.
Okay.
And we're not going to achieve that.
I'd
So
like to move
that's
approval
my,
of this action
You call for
item.
public
Second.
input first.
right. So that's, so Ali, unless you have anything else to go at this point, since you've clearly told us that this is what we have here. It is a public hearing. I'd like to open up for public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to address the TIP that we have in front of us today? Seeing none, close the public hearing. I'll bring it back to the commission.
I move
Commissioner Oakley.
approval.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second, further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All in favor? Yes, so you have 5-0. So, and I know I'm going to get with John, our new MPO, and maybe yourself, and I think what we can do, if you are agreeable, is to have some type of workshop. I know we're not having a meeting next month, but somewhere in there, as we start this process again for the news session, that we just kind of make sure we're all around the table and get, not educated, but just understanding, so of whatever the pots are and whatever the needs are.
Thank you for the clarification, Al.
But,
No problem.
Commissioner Mariano.
Yeah, and sorry for taking the wrong comments there, but let me say, though, I would like to meet with staff before the August meeting. I want to review, I want to go back all the way to '05, because I've got like Ranch Road and Zimmerman have been on here for all that time. This project here that we just talked about with the sidewalk project, underpass, was on there way back when, too. So I want to go historically, what was out there, what was done, and I want to get that addressed. So in the August meeting, that we have those properly set up to some historical priorities, that they don't keep getting kicked down the list.
And I think, but that conversation too, and it's great, I do think that would be helpful, again, because then we get to the east and the west conversations of, so I think a lot of that is valid for most of us. So
Yeah.
I know the summertime's difficult, and so anyway, we need to figure this out.
Yeah, so we're looking dysfunctional up here.
We are looking, but I think there's, between what you're saying, and the other side of that, there's been a lot of changes happening on the staff's end, and I'm not trying to point fingers, but I do think we need to all sit down at a table separate from here to make that happen. Let's do that.
And just for the board members to know, MPOAC, I don't know if you heard of them.
Right.
They offer educational programs for the MPO process. I mean, we're glad to sit down with you guys one-on-one and help you, but they also have that program.
And it is wonderful, but and I have been, I know
understand.
several folks have been, but until you're here, dealing with it, the nitty-gritty, as it particularly affects your own needs and counties and cities, some of that seems so distant. So again, I think a workshop dealing specifically with us, that's, I think, going to help. With that, before I lose this crowd, Ali.
And I believe the approval is roll call.
Oh, roll call. All right, so let's go ahead. We did have a motion, a second, so let's do roll call.
Councilman Jeff Starkey.
Yes. Aye.
Councilman Lance Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Ron Oakley.
Aye.
Commissioner Catherine Starkey.
Aye.
Commissioner Jack Mariano.
Aye.
And Chairman Camille Hernandez.
Aye. All right, so you have your 5-0. Again, thank you for your patience, and thank you for your patience on this side. It's very frustrating. Also, it's very confusing, and I agree with Commissioner Starkey, we've got to get another method for making sure that we're all understanding that. So John and Ali, just what we're seeing here, what you're showing, so we all are on the same page, literally and figuratively. So with that, let's move on to item C, the task number MPO 18-029.
So just quickly, this is for the scope for Tyndall Oliver to help us with the long-range transportation plan. We're going to have two phases of the scope. Phase A is basically develop the needs plan and cost affordable plan. And phase B will be starting in July 2019 to help us with documentation and the public involvement, adoption process, and all that. So this one is only phase A, and we're just requesting the MPO to approve their scope.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item D, AECOM time extension, number 5 amendment.
And this is AECOM was hired to help us with Wesley Chapel connection study. It has taken longer than expected with all the data collection we had to do, public comments, and the schedule of MPO board meetings and BCC meeting. So we have to amend the time to finish the project. We are extending their contract to February of next year, just to be safe.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And the last action item is AECOM. This is the help us with public involvement process in the LRTP. Unfortunately, they were tasked with doing updating the PPP and the public participation plan and the public involvement plan for LRTP, but there was no task for them to actually help us conduct those meetings. So this is just to change order. Thank you.
These are pretty simple. You have a motion, a second. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So not to be disrespectful, Ali, but yeah, that one's, those did not require as much conversation. Okay, we're on the public transportation report updates. And who's handling this for us?
Man in charge.
Here we are. Come on down. We don't bite. We're just inquisitive and want to get things done.
I'm with you, ma'am. We'll be short and sweet to the point. First, we're going to give a quick presentation. We're starting a new route in conjunction with Hillsborough and Hart. It's the 275LX, and I'm going to introduce Steve Fingerbaum, who's their planner for over there, and he's going to give a quick overview on what's going on.
Great, thank you. And just again, your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you. Steve Fagenbaum, Director of Service Development at Hart. Yeah, here, go ahead. If you'd hand those out, thank you. And since April 11, a Pasco County resident. Hart, in conjunction with Pasco County Public Transportation, is starting a new route on July 1, the 275LX. And I'd like to thank very much the staff at Pasco County Public Transportation for all their assistance, and especially like to thank the staff at FDOT for all of their assistance, particularly in allowing us to repurpose some existing grants that we had on some older and frankly failing routes so that we could go and do this route. This route will start on July 1st. It will replace a route that's currently failing called the 51LX. The 51LX only has 2 trips in the morning and 2 trips in the afternoon, Monday through Friday. The 275LX will run from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. We will have hourly connections with the PCPT Route 54 at the Wesley Chapel, the new Wesley Chapel Park and Ride, the one that was provided as part of a DRI from the Florida Hospital, or from Wiregrass at the hospital site. We'll be connecting 4 major employment centers: Wiregrass, the Bruce B. Downs corridor, including the Bruce B. Downs corridor, the University area, USF area, downtown Tampa, and the airport. So we're very excited about this route. This is sort of the warp speed presentation. We have very high hopes for it. Again, I very much appreciate all the help that we've received from the staff here at PCPT, and again, the staff at FDOT, who really made it happen with us reworking a lot of the grants that we presently had that were sort of lying dormant. So I'm happy to take any questions that you may have. I know that you are pressed for time today, so that is kind of the warp speed version. Oh, there's also going to be we're going to do a soft opening, and there'll be a more formal opening of the route, more of a ceremonial type thing in conjunction with the airport, which will be July 13. And we'll be sending out notices on that as well.
But this route is effective July 1.
The route is effective July 1. That's a Sunday. We start all our new services on Sunday. On a Sunday, it's the start of a new pay week. And it will run 7 days a week. So we will be able to connect with the Route 54 Monday through Saturday. And that's very exciting to us. We'll be able to provide connectivity for the 54 patrons who may want to go and access the employment on the Bruce B. Downs corridor, the VA hospital, which is right next to our transit center in the University Area Transit Center, and also whatever events that may be downtown, including the work trips and the employment at West Shore and the airport.
Questions quickly?
Good.
Commissioner Oakland?
Great thing. So.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah,
Thank
very
you.
exciting.
Thank you.
It's great news. Thank you.
I just posted it.
I just want to emphasize, I mean, I get requests all the time of how we can get people down to the VA hospital. We now have an option where we'll just be able to get there and people will go and we can get them back home. So I think this is a great step forward. Yeah. And I really appreciate everything that Steve and his team has done to get that forward. And I'll be very short and sweet. All the grant monies came in, and the good news is we got from the federal side of the house is we got a little bit more than we did last year, to the tune of $500,000, which is very nice. Secondly, we're wrapping up our current round of shelter builds. We're almost done. They've got to put the lights in them and the solar panels. There's something funky with the batteries that they're working on. We should have that soon. But what I want to do, though, is something that Commissioner Mariano mentioned, is new shelters.
Yes.
We're coming up onto that time again, folks, and I really want your inputs. We're looking at a formal request, probably within about 2 months, but start getting your list together and get them to me, and we'll start going, and once we get everything together, I'll have you all rack and stack how you want them. And then we'll move forward on how many I can afford and put the list down the next one and see how many I can get. And with that extra $500,000, I want to put some of that to moving more shelters. Shelters are important. So that's where I'm heading to in the future. The next big project for shelters is the ADA access to it that we have been working on. And that's my next big project that we're going to be going forward on. Did you have a question?
Well, it just seems to be there should be a matrix in that the benches or the stops that have the most ridership that don't have a shelter should be the next ones to get the shelter.
And I will hopefully have that information for you to say, this shelter here, yeah, they only have 3 people do it, but I have this shelter over here that's got 150 people using it a week or something like that. I will try, that's my goal, to get you that information.
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Starkey. I think, yeah, you know better than we do, and if we had that overview of what is currently and what the needs are, that would be helpful.
And like I said, though, you guys are in touch with your folks. Let me know what you're hearing too, and I'll be glad to research it, just to make sure that we are getting to shelters where the people are going to use them. That's my goal. I just don't want a shelter sitting there and no one uses it.
I do have one caveat, and that's that one at 54 in the Suncoast, because I think more people would use it if it was safer. Yep. And you guys have seen that sign. It's just there on the side of the highway. Yeah.
As a follow-up, we should be getting those benches there sooner than later.
So he is getting some benches there soon, but and a safe way to get to walk through the grass to get to it.
We are going to put, if we, believe it or not, Route 54 affects 75% of all my routes. So if I change the thing on that, the connections don't meet on each side, and it's been growing
It's one of my fastest growing. It's not the fastest, but it is growing very well. And I want to keep continuing with that growth. So we're going to see if we can make it safer. We're also going to maintain that area ourselves, because right now it's cutting down the grass and then looking and getting a sidewalk, like I believe Commissioner Mariano mentioned a while back, and I think you also did too, to the stop so that they're back away a little bit, and then there's a sidewalk going from where they're sitting up to the where the bus stop is.
Great, thank you.
That's it. That's any questions for me? That's
Any other just questions?
big
Great,
items.
thank you,
Thanks.
sir, I appreciate. All right, status reports. Who's handling that? There we go. We have several there. I'm not sure if we're going down the list. The first one is the Transportation Alternative Project status.
Thank you. Ross Kevlin, I'm the MPO Active Transportation Planner. This item was largely covered in the TIP presentation. Thank you, Commissioner Mariano. Thank you, Ali, for launching in. But this map we're providing is on page 152. That would be, if there was a page at the bottom, it would be on the bottom. But it's the page after 151.
I'm not even trying.
And it's the map that you might have already seen of the transportation alternative projects from 2017.
Right.
Followed by the tables listing the priorities as the MPO set them last year. This was a request to bring this information to you from last month's meeting. Just as a reminder, and as Ali mentioned, we'll be giving a draft list in August for the commission, the board to look at 2018 priorities.
Should I repeat what I said before?
Well, it's,
Well, and, you know, I think we need to talk about that project, not necessarily here, but to me, that money comes from various places, not, I don't think it needs to all come from here. I think some of it could be tourism money. I think it can come from a lot of places, so we need to look at what the cost is. We're talking about the Gulf, we're talking about the boardwalk, right?
The Cody
Yeah,
crossing.
yeah, because I'm very supportive of that project, and I think we should have a discussion on where all the money comes from.
And there will be a quick update on that project further down the list
Okay.
here of updates.
okay. All right, so, no, I don't think you need to repeat it all. I think it's on the radar, and thank you. Okay. All righty. The next item is the Cody River project update. John's doing that?
Yes, I'm just here on behalf of Mary Ellen, who's taken the lead. So essentially, the good news is that she's put together a scope, a feasibility for that study. And so it has gone to AECOM through the MPO. They are our general planning consultant. So we've come up with a dollar value of about $40,000. So she's reaching out to the city of Port Richey, New Port Richey, and the county to see if they can commit a third. And then if they can't, we'll have to find a way to restructure the payment for it. But the reality is that once it's paid for and there's an interlocal agreement, we can start that feasibility
Just
study.
real quick on that, there's some confusion there. I spoke to our city manager, Debbie Manns, said that Newport Richey said, yeah, no problem, we'll pay for a third. Port Richey apparently did not, and I think Debbie or maybe Commissioner Mariano, I can't remember who reached out to Mr. Lupo, and he was on the impression they had already paid for a feasibility study for it, so they didn't want to pay for it again. Was that what happened?
Yeah, they said they had already worked with FDOT and they already completed that study. So I'm not sure if you're duplicating resources. I actually put a call into staff about it, but I didn't get a response back. But
Sure.
they said they've already done it. They want to see it done. And I will say this, whether they want to put in the money or not, we should just get it done for $40,000.
So if it doesn't need to be done, that's good. I'll let Terry speak to it, but she's just still negotiating for that amount. So either way, we're ready to proceed. We just wanted to let you know that it is.
Right, I guess my question is, though, if it doesn't need to be done, why are we negotiating for the amount?
So we're going to find that out?
Nectarios Pitos with Planning and Development, Pasco County. Yes, we'll find out to confirm, but the conversation that I had with Port Richey was that they had previously reached out to FDOT on the idea of doing the underpass. And so the understanding that I had from them was not that a feasibility study had been done per se, but that the idea was potentially supportable. That was what I had understood from Port Richey.
You're hearing something different.
Well, someone's in charge of it, someone
Yeah,
get the
I'll-
money,
I'll-
let's
I'll
go.
find
It
out.
seems to be, yeah, because, and I agree, if it's done, what the heck would we do it again? Commissioner Mariano?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'll make a motion. If we have to pay the 40 grand to get the study done, let's just get the study done,
Once we find out if it has not been done.
if it hasn't been done.
I'll confirm.
There was
That's
a
a
motion
motion.
on the table.
Second.
There's a motion, there's a second, further discussion?
Yes, and then collect the monies from the others that are involved?
We'd be happy to have Newport Richey participation. If
Yeah,
Port Richey
they've already
doesn't-
agreed.
If Port Richey doesn't want to participate with this funding, I still think we should just get
Well,
it done.
I agree, but let's try and get it.
And like I said, there's definitely misunderstandings going on here, so we can clarify. But
exactly.
I just don't want to delay it any further.
Right. So
With
staff
the
has
understanding
direction.
that we'll work on that one-third.
There
So
was
we're
no
gonna-
action needed, we were just updating you on the status. that
But
it's
he
moving
just,
forward.
right, but he,
He wants action.
Right, but
There's
we want
definitely action
action,
needed.
so we're going to go ahead and find out if the study was done. If it wasn't, there's a motion on the table,
And I-
it's
and-
seconded
but
to
real-
move forward and have that happen if
real
it hasn't.
real quick, on the second, the city of Newport Richey is committed to paying our third. Even though it's not in our city limits, we understand the economic impact it's going to have on our city, so we're all on board.
So, motion second, further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, so we're clear on what we need to do. Okay, thank you. With that, we have item C, the Starkey Gap Tri-County Trail Fact Sheet.
In my lifetime.
In your life this month.
look at that.
This project is
Look at that.
to build about 2.5 miles of continuation of the Starkey Trail that will extend south from Highway 54 down to the county line and connect into the Pinellas system. The project's been let, and construction starts this month to be finished next summer.
Commissioner Stein?
I definitely want to schedule a groundbreaking. Hope you are scheduling a groundbreaking. And I want to talk again about an overpass. Even if we can't build it now, we will lose the opportunity if we don't figure out how that would look and where it would go. Because right now, the four corners are undeveloped. And so I'd like us to start looking at that. This is part of the coast-to-coast trail. The state allocates $25 million a year at least to this trail. And so maybe there's multiple sources where we can go look for the money. I personally think our overpasses, and I won't be able to say this because I'm going to have to leave, so I'll say it now. We have an overpass plan for 54 north-south, one for 52 north-south.
On the Sun Coast?
On the Sun Coast, which actually the 52 one is part of the coast-to-coast trail. Then we have plans for a Tower Road flyover and hopefully a Starkey and 54 flyover. And in my opinion, the most important ones are actually going east-west over the Sun Coast, so the Tower Road flyover and the Starkey one as part of the coast-to-coast trail. The 54 north-south flyover has refuges built into them that can be used right now for safety going north and south. But there is no way to go east-west, and there are no refuges at Starkey and 54, and that is going to be an extremely popular trail. We had a meeting at DOT offices, and thank you so much for putting that together. A whole bunch of our staff went, and the Bexley folks went, and some engineers, and DOT had some people down from Tallahassee, and I think we made great progress to see if we could do a temporary underpass under the slough. But that's going to be money that's put out for something that's temporary. And if we could, the ultimate best solution, I think, is to go ahead and do that flyover, even if we just do the pedestrian flyover before we do the road flyover. But there is no way to go east and west safely, and that's much needed. So some of that money is penny money. I don't know if we can take one thing that we put on the ballot and use it somewhere else, but there's ways to supplant money and move things, so I just really want to get out there. I also was thinking at 52, if we're planning to do a pedestrian overpass, who's looked at the property to see what's available? Has someone reserved it yet at that intersection of 52 and the Sun Coast? I don't even know if it's possible. So no one's in charge of these things. No one's looking at it. So thank you.
Okay, noted. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kevlin. We're at item D, the Ridge Road extension.
Yes, D and E are just merely information. We just wanted to let you know about the status of the Ridge Road. We're not overseeing it. And the collaborative process for federal performance measures, that's just telling you that they're telling us that performance measures is one of those things that they're going to ramp up in the next LRTP. So they are, through FDOT, they are going to provide more assistance on how we skin that
Great.
cat, if you will. So.
Thank you, sir. It's time Pasco campaign results.
Yes, it's
Do you wanna
time
know?
Pasco is part of our LRTP outreach, and we had a group called MetroQuest. You may have participated in the survey. It was all done online, but we just wanted to report that we had almost 1,600 folks in the county respond, and then sometime soon we will have an overview of what the results were.
Great, thank you. Thank you. All right, other business. Anything there just to discuss? I know we have articles, a list of meetings.
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
You
We
know,
want to
I-
go back and do air.
I was going to say, I've got the same function. I know Commissioner Oakley's got the same function to go to, so it's.
So do you want to have
better.
them come
So
up?
I would just like to, maybe we can schedule Hyperloop, try to do it for the August meeting, and bring Tom Nocera and Beach Tran back as well at the same time. It'll give you a chance to put maybe an agenda item together and do a full presentation. I'm sorry, gentlemen, I greatly appreciate you coming forward. At least we get to see the video, but I think at the next MPO, it'd be probably better structured. I was trying to get us before the Mexico opening of the other one would be, so.
But that'd be great as an agenda, I agree. So agenda item it is, it's actually looks very cool, and I think if we have the time to have that further discussion.
We'll give it proper
with
time.
So we can do that. All right, great. Are we at public comments now? I believe we are. So this is public comments. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the commission? Sir, come on up.
Thank you. Tom Nocera, Clearwater, Florida. I want to just let everyone know that yesterday we had a very productive meeting with Janet Long, who is a Pinellas County Commissioner who also sits on the board of TBARTA and PSTA. She has offered her support to help us move forward with our vision for a free enterprise transit solution. And I just wanted to make the point that what we're requesting from your staff is to be able to come up with some routes, some ideas, so we can integrate a system that would knit together the entire Tampa Bay region. So I look forward to making a full presentation to you at an upcoming meeting, and I trust you'll get me the details on that. Thank you.
Great, thank you, sir. Thank you. Anyone else in the audience like to address the board? Seeing none, anything from us? No? We're going to go ahead and adjourn. Thank you all.
Very much. Good job.
Reminder, there's no meeting next month.